Become a DangerVille member to support the channel and gain access to all these exclusive perks. Click join now to check out your options. What's up, residents? As we edge ever closer to the inevitable release of Godzilla vs. Kong Origins, the question remains, will this be the time that Godzilla dies? If so, how could he die? He's had close calls before, but has always overcome all odds and stood on top as the king of the monsters. But perhaps this time, he won't be so lucky. Today, let's discuss the possibilities of Godzilla being killed in the upcoming MonsterVerse film. How will Godzilla die? Let's find out. I'm Alistair, and welcome to DangerVille. In 2014, Godzilla was nearly taken down by the Mutos, ancient Gojira-hunting parasites, after they teamed up against him and overwhelmed him. His life was saved after Ford Brody distracted the V-Muto by destroying her nest, giving Godzilla a chance to strike back against the creatures. In King of the Monsters, Godzilla was nearly obliterated by the Oxygen Destroyer, a next-generation bomb capable of incinerating biological matter in the vicinity of the explosion. It forced him to retreat to his home in the Hollow Earth to regenerate, which could have taken years, perhaps even centuries, before he was capable of fighting Ghidorah again. His life was saved thanks to the heroic efforts of Serizawa, who nuked Godzilla from close range, sacrificing himself, but in turn giving Godzilla a radioactive boost needed to seek revenge against Ghidorah. And in Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla was overwhelmed by the sheer speed and toughness of Mechagodzilla and found himself outmatched by his strength after such an intense and exhausting battle against Kong. He was then saved by Kong after he realized Godzilla is vital to the balance of the planet's ecosystem. Contrary to popular belief, Godzilla is not indestructible. He's an animal with godlike capabilities. Ancient civilizations worshipped him, feared him, and even revered him. But he does have vulnerabilities, and sometimes he needs help to really demonstrate his full capabilities. In each instance when Godzilla came out on top, he had assistance. But someday he might not be so lucky. What happens when there's no one there to help? What could the situation be? If you haven't seen my story theory for Godzilla vs. Kong 2, check out this video, which I'll link up here, but I'll summarize it for you now. Kong travels to the Hollow Earth to find other members of his species, only to stumble across an entire ancient Iwi civilization that worship the remaining members of Kong's species. Up on the surface, Ren Serizawa, who survived the events of Godzilla vs. Kong, builds Mecha King Ghidorah from the scraps of Mechagodzilla and intends to seek revenge against the King of the Monsters. He begins to destroy cities across the world, and Godzilla shows up to stop the mechanical menace. The scenes of people running from the ocean in Rio de Janeiro could very well be the first time they've seen Mecha King Ghidorah, and they're running for their lives. Kong rallies up his brothers and sisters to take down Mecha King Ghidorah. They team up and assault the mechanized giant with Godzilla, and after a vicious battle, come out on top. But after the dust settles, Kong's relatives beat down on the King of the Monsters since they remember what his kind did to their species thousands of years ago, forced from their Hollow Earth homes up to the surface on Skull Island and slaughtered. Now, on my original theory, Kong comes between their attack and defends Godzilla, pushing his family aside since they have yet to realize Godzilla's importance to the natural order. But what if Kong's species took down Godzilla? Or at least stopped his heart the same way Kong was essentially pronounced dead in Godzilla vs. Kong. Of course, before he was revived with enough electricity to light up Las Vegas. This could be considered payback for not only what Godzilla did to Kong in the previous film, but what Godzilla's kind did to Kong's species during their war. In their eyes, Godzilla's species were tyrannical rulers with a tight rein on the freedoms of the rest of the Titans, all part of keeping the planet's ecosystem in check, although not to everyone's liking, which is how their war started. Could this be how Godzilla dies? Is this what he deserves? I think this is perhaps a more cynical ending to the King of the Monsters' life, but it's certainly possible. Although I believe Godzilla deserves a heroic death, something he's earned from thousands if not millions of years of protecting the planet. What we know from the synopsis for Origins is that the film will be pitting the almighty Kong and the fearsome Godzilla against a colossal undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and our own. It sounds like a titan will rise from the hollow earth, something massively powerful. Now, we've made various videos on what this could be, but the leading theory is Biollante or Destroyer. Now, we all know what happened in Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Godzilla was tragically killed defending the world from a planet-destroying monster. In King of the Monsters, they used the Oxygen Destroyer and it almost killed Godzilla. For those that have watched the Heisei series of Godzilla films, you'll know the Oxygen Destroyer is what created Destroyer, out of a microorganism that mutated throughout the course of the film into a terrifying devil. Could Destroyer rise from the hollow earth, evolved from the very thing that almost killed Godzilla in King of the Monsters, to fight Godzilla and Kong, which leads to Godzilla sacrificing his life to save the rest of the Titans? This could really be the Iron Man moment of the MonsterVerse, killing their most famous character in a huge impactful moment, but not necessarily spelling the end of the MonsterVerse as a whole. This event would lead to drastic change. Other Titans might rise to claim the throne, creatures could crawl from the pits of the hollow earth and invade the surface in the wake of Godzilla's death, and all that will be left is Kong and his family having to step up as the Alpha Titans of the world, leading to an all-out war between the Kongs, humanity, and ancient Titans. Or perhaps a third option, Godzilla uses the last of his power to kill Destroyer and their bodies sink to the bottom of the ocean, presumed dead, never to be seen again. Will we catch a last glimpse of Godzilla swimming away to live a life of solitude, finally able to rest after millions of years of being the Alpha Titan, allowing Kong to have the reins from then on? But to the rest of the world, Godzilla would be dead and no one would disturb him again. Whether or not you think Godzilla will get a hero's death, or if he deserves what's coming to him, we can all agree it's going to be a monumental event. Over on Twitter, I asked fellow residents when and how they thought Godzilla will die. So here's some of your answers. Jack Butler says, gotta be against Destroyer either by defeating him and dying from his injuries, or becoming Burning Godzilla and taking them both out. SBGBJ says, if he does, I've got a feeling he'll die saving Kong, or Mothra, perhaps a few more movies down the line. Boosh Jiggles says, bring in Bagan for one final fight, preferably after a tiring and epic battle against Destroyer. D Roses says, he trips on a rock, I don't know. Lalaris says, Destroyer, the Oxygen Destroyer, he shall return. Mark Fisher says, it should really be a fight with Destroyer to end the MonsterVerse, having his skeleton become the Titan equivalent of a whale fall, except on land, sustaining its very own ecosystem. Godzilla serves the planet, even in death. I really like that one. That one's probably my favorite. Infinite Gojira says, time passes after the Titans' war, Godzilla's regeneration has slowly given out on him. Yet there's no more potential conflicts. For once, he's able to rest. After one final victorious roar, he lies down by the shoreline and slowly closes his eyes. Long live the king. What you doing, mate? You trying to make me cry? Go follow us over on Twitter at DangerVille Team to check out some of the other ideas you residents had about how Godzilla could die. But how do you think Godzilla will die? Do you agree with my theory? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this theory and want to see more, then leave a like because it lets us know what you want to see more of. Don't forget to subscribe and stomp the notification button to become a resident of DangerVille today. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.